Hello, everybody, and welcome back to our multi-part series. I'm Alex Farmer, the founder of Customer Success Excellence. And as we have done over the last few months, we're speaking with customer success leaders about exactly that, excellence in customer success. What comes to mind when we ask the question, what does true excellence in CS looks like? I'm pleased to be joined by Sabina Pons and Emilia, both from Growth Molecules, and I'll let them introduce themselves in just a second for our conversation today. For those of you that don't know, Customer Success Excellence is the world's first awards program dedicated to the customer success profession. Nominations are closing in 1 week for awards for the 2023 Americas edition. Emilia happens to be one of our judges as well. And of course, Growth Molecules is a sponsor. And you can join us in San Francisco, May 17th for the 2023 Americas Awards Gala. I'm sure I will see both of you there. And by you, of course, I mean Emilia and Sabina, and you, the audience, there as well. Let's jump right into it. Sabina, maybe you can start. Who are you and what do you do? Give us a bit of your background.
Of course. So I'm Sabina Pons. I'm based in Southern California, and I am the general manager of Growth Molecules. What that means is that I have the pleasure of helping to run our customer success advisory business, where we have 3 key practice areas with the mission of protecting and growing revenue. We help B2B SaaS companies and B2B2C SaaS companies strategize and drive missions to help be selective in the motions that they exude to nurture their customers. We have 3 practice areas. So we have Growth Molecules Academy, where we are conducting team training for leaders and individual contributors across customer success, account management, professional services, and support. We also have a robust tech services division where we're doing optimizations and implementations of customer success platforms. And then we also have strategic advisory. This is the traditional thing that comes to mind when you think of hiring experts in the field. That consists of doing customer journey mapping workshops. We provide fractional leadership posts. Perhaps you need an interim chief customer officer or VP of success. We also conduct, and my favorite, and of course, is wearing the detective hat and doing the diagnostic assessment. So that's going through uncovering the current lay of the land, making recommendations for best practices for scale for the next 12 to 18 months. My background is that I was a formal global leader of a team. I'm responsible for 72 million in recurring revenue of a company's 100 million. My team was 4 people when I started, and in just over 4 years, grew it to 104 people. We owned expansions, renewals, adoption, customer advisory board, customer and user community for the first time. We built it, launched it, deployed it. So I'm really excited to be here with you and cannot wait for the awards coming up in just a few weeks.
Well, and I must say, given that resume, it's a shame that this awards program didn't exist back those few years ago, because I think you probably would have been a shoo-in for all of that work. But also, I think, how relevant today, especially now, with the and we'll get into it in our conversation, but with the current, let's say, economic times, whatever we want to label it, even more important to be enabling and upskilling those teams to really thrive in this climate. Let's get into that in just a second. Emilia, maybe you could I could direct the same question to you. Tell us a little bit about your backgrounds and who you are and what you do.
You bet. Well, I think Sabina explained what Growth Molecules does quite well, but I founded the company almost 3 years ago. I've been in consulting for the past 5 years. And before that, I spent 20 years in Silicon Valley helping customers and companies really build out their customer success organization. I have held every title from customer success manager, support manager, community manager, and all the way up to chief customer officer. And one day I just said, you know what, I want to help lots of companies and individuals grow not only their revenue, but as individuals. And that is really been our mission for the past nearly 3 years. I'm based in Silicon Valley, so I will be driving to the Customer Success Excellence Awards, and I can't wait to see all the nominations as a judge very soon here.
That's great. Now we're very much looking forward to peeling back or opening the envelope, let's say. I'm not sure that's the right expression, but we've got a lot of exciting nominees to go through and then, of course, award them in about a month. Sabina, let's talk what excellence in CS looks like for you. I think, given both of your backgrounds, you've seen a lot, right? Both professionally, in your careers, but also now at Growth Molecules, having the opportunity to work with so many different companies. I'm sure you've seen a lot of examples. So if we really step back and contemplate that question, what does excellence in CS look like for you?
For me, it comes down to three personal characteristics that I've always found to be successful for me in my endeavors in CS, but most importantly for my teams and the people that I mentor. I would classify those firstly as confidence. I think that we're quick to recognize that we're in service of our customers. We're between the company and our customers. We're typically that liaison, if you will, such that we are the external ambassador of our companies, and then we're the internal advocate. It's our job to make sure our customers' needs are met. We sometimes find that more junior resources get nervous or lack the confidence that it takes to have that executive presence, drive the messages home, and really be the resource for them that they need us to be. So CSM, who is one to recognize that to the customer, they're the expert. They're the ones that know the software. They're the ones that know the service is offering the best, and to own that and to lean into that. That being said, the second key attribute that I think comprises a solid CSM, one that's excellent, as one might say, is that they have adaptability. So while they have to have the confidence in what they know to be true about their service offerings, their empowerments as a CSM, it's really important that they also have the ability to pivot, to be able to think quickly on their feet, and to be able to do that through the context of what the customer's needs are, also relative to the economic climate, and also what's relevant for their own company's bottom line, the company with whom they're representing. And then the third one on that note is attention to detail. So being able to fly at the 30,000-foot view and see that big strategic vision and picture, but then also being able to drill down to the 3-foot view and be in the weeds when is appropriate, be able to know your stuff and be able to back it up with data. And those are the three most important things. So confidence, adaptability, and attention to detail.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think those are great examples. I'm going to throw a curveball out to you. I think CS sometimes is called the everything department, right? And even in the three qualities, which I very much agree with that you listed, there's a lot of diversity there, right? You got to be confident, adaptable, and I mean, I kind of think about commercial being one of the skills and technical maybe being another, and those are a combination of two sometimes wildly separate disciplines. Mm-hmm. So how do you think about kind of balancing the breadth versus depth, I guess, with those qualities and skill sets? You see what I mean?
I do. And that's typically, I think, a testament to how most of us got into success in the first place. And so in my team in the past, I've always believed in having a hybrid hiring strategy, both within internal promotion and external hire, because that breeds different influences and team-led growth, but then also within commercial versus pure play advisory, right? And strategic motions. And that is also really helpful. My teams in the past, I've had both models where we owned commercials and where we didn't own commercials. In my role with MavenLink, where I was prior to Growth Molecules, we owned commercials. By day one, I didn't think that was the charter, and my boss informed me otherwise. Things had changed. We're now going to be owning revenue, which, looking back, was the best thing for me and my teams, because I believe that we were able to very materially impact the true customer outcome. And internally, because we had revenue tied to us, we were able to accomplish more for them. We had more leverage, if you will, to nurture feature roadmap with product. We had more ability to hire the right, team level that we needed to. I think that when teams now, what we're seeing a lot in my role, I've been a fractional chief customer officer and VP and others with the context of Growth Molecules. I've seen teams there where they have decoupled that. And not only are they decoupling the commercial to account management, but they're also now having CS and a technical account manager. That was what I saw in my first 18 months with Growth Molecules. Now, nearing the corner of, Q2 of 2023, the economic climate is different. We are seeing in our day-to-day some reversion to the catch-all, be-all, end-all. And so we're going back to consolidation. I'm seeing that a lot, where now teams are yet again being asked to now own commercials and technical account management and support and everything else. And so the skills that I listed that I think are important, I don't think it matters in my opinion. So curveball back at you. There's skills I think that are honestly good ones for professionals to have, period. They're
Sure.
extra important for a CSM regardless, I think, if you're owning commercials or not.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I want to just add to that, and I think this is why we really started the academy. I never had intentions to, but two of our clients came to us and said, look, we really need our CSMs to know how to do the following things, like the COVID world had just started and people were completely overwhelmed, didn't understand time management, and were very uncomfortable being in front of Zoom for 8 hours a day, sometimes more than that, and they were exhausted. So we started developing programs. I mean, don't tell my clients back 3 years ago, but some of the content I was putting together the night before we were delivering it because there was such a demand for these type of skills. Now they're in a learning management system. It's very professionalized, very different experience for our clients. But what I'm trying to say is whatever skill you want your CSM to have, you need to enable them. And at the end of the day, your customers need to feel confident knowing that a CSM is leading them. So having those leadership skills and really being able to prioritize and focus is important, because Sabina just wrote a blog about this with one of our clients, Talru, and they talked about staying focused on your key performance indicators. It's really important, especially in these economic times where you might be a CSM being asked to do a lot of different things, and bringing it back and having open conversations with your leadership. All right, these are my KPIs. This is what you've asked me to do. Let's prioritize and reprioritize. And that's something you have to feel really confident doing continuously as a leader and a CSM, upward management, when it comes to staying focused. Otherwise, you're doing a lot of little things, not that great. So why not really practice and hone in on staying focused on what really matters?
Yeah, no, it's a great point, and it strikes me as, obviously CS and sales work very closely together, as they should. And Sabina, I agree with you. Most of the CS teams I've led, I've been revenue responsible, and I think it does make it a little easier to kind of justify one's presence when the CFO has their red pen out, right? Because there's a direct connection to bottom line, especially in a climate like this. But I wonder when, and I think the Academy, Emilia, is maybe a good step in that direction. But I wonder when, you're going to have the dust is going to settle, and the methodology, sales, I've been to force management training, there's Sandler, there's Challenger, there's these methodologies that you kind of, new CRO, they put you on their favorite version of it, right? And I wonder when customer success gets such ubiquitous methodologies that we can kind of start to, I don't know, just get some repeatability or some homogeneousness of the way we should go about doing it, right? And obviously the Academy is an important first step, but I guess I wonder how the path from today to getting to, having the 3 or 4 methodology trainings that you just do, like you do in sales, what is our path to get there, and when is that going to happen? You know what I mean?
It's happened. We have an academy that focuses their 12 weeks programs, and it's really focused on more of the account management and the financials and feeling confident with that. I think it really comes down to rigorous practice. So training is really useless if your leadership doesn't adopt it as a methodology and understands that your personas, your buyers, are very different than the people who are renewing and expanding, because you now have a relationship where there's trust built. The CSM, the account manager, have started building relationship, whereas the sales cycle at the beginning, they're still working on earning that trust. They don't know each other yet. It's all based on research. Once the sale is now turned into reoccurring revenue, that relationship is changed. The buyer might not be the same person as the end user. So the renewal, the expansion motion is very different. And that's my problem. Challenger, all of those different sales, great sales programs, but they're not developed for customer success. We have a different way of working with customers because the sale motion is very different. If you treat them like a new customer, you're missing out on a ton of opportunity to go deeper on the relationship.
It's completely, and I think there's, it always strikes me that, the opportunity pipeline, it has its defined stages and you go through them and you're well coached to do that. But the number of journeys or motions that, I think, Sabina, goes back to your word of adaptable, right? The number of journeys or motions that happen once they become a customer are so much more infinite than getting a deal through a pipeline, right? So I guess it's kind of underscores the need for that type of curriculum for CSMs and CS leaders. I posed a question about the future earlier, kind of when will we get to a certain place? And I'd like to push that timeline even further out. 5 years from now, what do we think is in store for customer success? Even in the last year, things have changed pretty significantly. All right, so Sabina, where do you think CS will be in 5 years? And I will live on the air right now invite you back in 5 years and we'll analyze what we've just agreed to talk about, but no pressure, go right ahead.
No problem at all. I welcome that. I think that one of the changes that we've seen, a lot of the buzzwords that we've heard, right, is digital first, tech touch, doing more with less. These are all the phrases that have been top of mind for a lot of us for the last 12 months. And I think we're just scratching the surface with those. I think that there's always going to be an element that differentiates us to be human first is the word human in that. So with ChatGPT, a lot of artificial intelligence, all these other things that are really top of mind now in 2023, coupled with where we were leaving off in 22 with digital first, is that we're seeing this parallel shift of how are we creating efficiency? And is there a spot of taking it too far? And I think it really just depends on the business model and the complexity of your offering. If you're an MRR business, for example, you're focused more on monthly contracts, there's auto renewals in play. That's a very different model. I mean, even the term product-led growth is something that was also buzzwordy, a few years back and has lingered, but we're also now recently hearing that that's not the right terminology either, because it's not just coming from products. There's a lot of motions that go behind that. And so it's all semantics, but I think what I'm getting at is we're going to see, I believe, continued maturity and understanding of where we can, in fact, be efficient and leverage technology to augment the experience such that it is actually more human first, because you're meeting customers at the right place at the right time, specifically the right persona, to Emilia's point, and understanding what they need. That also gives us key insights that in real time can give them the help that they need. That doesn't require a CSM thinking about it, using memory recall, maybe looking at an internal knowledge base, talking to another colleague, those some of the things that happen in real life as a CSM. You can't know everything. That will help us. That will in turn help our customers. I think on the flip side, there's going to always be an element of needing to talk to a human, whether that be through live calls, whether that be through email. I think that there's going to be, we're seeing this resurgence of people going back in office. We know as CS leaders how fond we've been in the last year getting back together in person and seeing what comes from that. So I think that we're going to continue to have these hybrid models that are going to depend on the company structure, the service offering, the demographic with which they're serving. If we know CTOs on average are working with 200 different software vendors, and if you're just one of them, they don't have time to talk to you and meet with you unless you're, the biggest, largest source of their rev or their accounts payable every month. They're not going to necessarily have time for you. So how do we make those experiences more efficient, yet where not only are you delivering value, but the right people know that you're delivering value and they're feeling that value. So I think that we're gonna have to continue to approach our strategy with a hybrid model. And what that means for CS is that we're also going to continue to have to be nimble, and that there's going to be expectations from us to do things smarter, to be able to leverage automation where it makes sense, and then also to be able to rely on good old fashioned picking up the phone and talking to one another. I think that's still going to be a thing.
Spot on. Emilia, any thoughts on that question? 5 years from now, where do you think we're going to be?
Well, I have already seen this trajectory with customer success professionals being more sales oriented. I think that will continue. Sales is no longer a dirty word, but rather helping sells. And so that's what customer success professionals do. They help. As a result, it leads to expansion. The other thing is more and more companies will put the CCO in charge of the organization. You saw that with HubSpot. Yamini Rangan was the chief customer officer. She's now the CEO. Under her leadership, the stock hit over 800. Yes, it's down like every other tech stock, but under her leadership, it quickly dipped, a woman in charge, but then that quickly turned around. She was able to prove that putting the customer at the center of your organization leads to expansion. And as we get more of those examples where Sabina, under Sabina's leadership, for example, at her previous organization, leading more revenue across the org than what was coming in as new revenue, that speaks volumes, especially right now. These type of economic waves are going to continue. And if that's the case, companies will realize that it's 5 to 6 times cheaper to retain your customers, but 2, they're about 35% more likely to buy your new products. So companies will really focus on selling and protecting their customers. And honestly, that's what our company mission is all about, protect and grow revenue. So I see organizations really doubling down on that.
Yeah, I think, maybe the outlandish thought that I have is that, the CRO and the CCO will become one, and maybe it's just a CCO, right? And I think there's going to be a few companies that need to be very brave about that. But to your point, if there's not I think maybe the days of the big enterprise contract, expensive 18-month sales cycle and retain, those days are over. And maybe now it's much more about initial interest through marketing to the right person at the right place at the right time, a couple of seats or a small contract, growing. And that's a continuous sales motion that ultimately needs to have kind of one cohesive experience. The buyer journey and the customer journey really are, maybe the same thing in the future. But we'll see. Same place, same time, 5 years from now, I'll see you both here. Sounds like a plan. So I guess the last thing for me, I'm going to put you both on the spot, and you work with a lot of different companies. You want to share? I'd love to just give you the floor to share an example of the best in customer success. Could be a person, could be a program, could be a company, but anything come to mind when I ask you that question?
I'll share a client we're currently working with. I'm actually going to be interviewing the SVP of customer success and their head of operations. The company is Telru, and they are going to be at Pulse 23, the same day of the Customer Success Excellence Awards. And I won't give it all away, but what I will say is the CEO is very invested in customer success. I started working with them 2 years ago, one-on-one with the SVP of customer success, and really recognizing that customers are really at the core of growth. They are the voice of potential new customers. For example, this morning, private equity firm called me and said, we see you're working with this company. Can we do a background check and really tell us what you think about this company? And so being able to know that if you're not in the room, the CEO is putting customer success at the center is critical. And that's what they did last August. They really looked at their customer data and realized there was huge potential to optimize the customer experience, and started working very closely with us in the fall. That's when Sabina and her team optimizing and implementing customer success platform. They selected Gainsight, but really leveraging customer data to not only optimize the customer experience, but also automate it so that you don't need so many human touch points. Because a recent Market Watch article shared that by 2030, Gen Z, that's my teenage daughter's generation, and the millennials will take over corporate America. So if that's the case, try getting a teenager on the phone. It's impossible. They don't want to talk to you. They want to figure out the customer journey in application quickly, and they want to understand your product. So really digitizing the customer experience is what they've been really focused on. Fast forward this early spring, they're seeing the significant impact of that investment. And that's what we'll be talking about. And that is really, to me, best in class. Investing in customer success, putting the customer experience at the core, and understanding a heavy human touch is not what today's consumer wants. Let's meet them where they want to be, and let's give them a journey that they want to engage in, because if you're not, your competitor will. So that's my
That's a great example. Sounds like they I hope that someone's nominated them, or they've nominated themselves. It sounds like a very compelling initiative. It strikes me that Sabina, earlier you were talking a bit about, we're never going to replace the human, but we're going to use the human to supplement kind of a foundation of automation, and we're going to do that elegantly in the right way. It sounds, maybe that's a great example of exactly that principle. Excellent. So I have been invited by Emilia and Sabina to leave this conversation with a gift. Okay, if the insights from Growth Molecules were not a gift enough, there is a giveaway, and I'll let you guys share the news. I don't want to kind of spoil it, but it's very exciting. Would you like to tell our viewers exactly what I'm talking about here?
Go for it, Sabina.
So we are welcoming one single special person to join us at the Customer Success Excellence Awards. In order to do that, you need to visit our website at growthmolecules.com. It's on our homepage, and enroll in the opportunity to join us in person at the awards in May. Emilia, you want to add anything else?
Yes. So starting today, you'll see a video of me and talking about how you can submit your own video and share your own story. And on May 1st, we will select one lucky winner who will receive a free pass to the Customer Success Excellence Award. I don't know about you, but I'm getting all dolled up for this event. And then we will share that video and announce the winner on May 1st. So I hope that you will get out of your comfort zone, create your own video, tell us how you've grown this past year. We're all about growth mindset. And we look forward to watching your videos and selecting one of you.
It's very exciting. I'm sure you'll have a lot of eligible submissions. I know I'm biased, but I think it's going to be great. Red carpet. There is open bar if that's your thing. 3-course meal, gala, entertainment. I'm going to stop selling. But I hope to see both of you there, and also the one lucky winner. Thank you as always for your support. Very excited to partner with you for our second event. We partnered first in the 2022 EMEA Awards, and here we are again for 2023. I have nothing else to add. So with that, I think we can conclude. Thank you for your insights, and I'll see you in just about a month.